Helldivers 2 are in a major mess right now and people are frustrated. Actually, I think that's an understatement. People are pissed off. The game's being absolutely review bombed on Steam. Who would have thought 3 months, win after win after win, pure transparency from the devs, and now this. Oh my god! So in today's video, we are going to go over everything you need to know about this situation. What Arrowhead announced that got people annoyed in the first place, how Sony was involved, the main culprits to this, and the end resolution. This is going to be a good one. Let's get into it. If you have been living under a bridge the past few days, basically Arrowhead Studios, the developers of Helldivers 2, posted an update saying that all new players by May 6th will be required to connect their Steam account to PSN. And by May 30th, it's going to be mandatory for login. Now, if you're wondering why people are so annoyed about this, if you're on PlayStation, for example, it's for many reasons, but one of the main things is that many people can't actually access PSN in their own country, and because they have already paid for the game and had hundreds of hours in it, they can't actually get a refund. I mean, I live in the UK, and for many of you watching this from America, Europe, and many other countries, it probably won't affect you really. Just to put things into perspective, here's a list of many countries that cannot actually access PSN in their own country. It's a bit of a dick move. I mean, they have made such an amazing game, honestly. The best game I've played in a while. And when I say in a while, I mean probably years. But seriously, Arrowhead Studios, you announced this now, after all of this time? Then again, they did apparently mention this at launch as temporary in the small print. Sony are known for their data leaks. I mean, come on, as much as I've always liked Sony, before coming to PC, I was actually on PS4, and now I'm a PC nerd, PC Master Race. To be honest, it's probably about collecting more data from us. That's what I see this about, data. They go on to say, apparently, it's just to protect players from griefing and abuse by enabling the banning of players that engage in that type of behaviour. It also allows those players that have been banned the right to appeal. Now, I understand what they are saying, but to me, I just think it's Sony seeing that there's over 50% of consumers who have bought the game from Steam, and that's a lot of sales, on a completely different platform, and all they're probably thinking is, data, I want my data, give me that data. Are we really living in a world where mega corporations are essentially forcing players to do illegal activities for them to actually play the game? In reality, Sony have came along and was like, hey, there's so many players on PC who are playing Helldivers 2, a big chunk. Actually, we want a piece of the pie. Now, for me, I had a PS4 before I switched to PC, so it doesn't really bother me, really. I have a PSN account already, and I mean, you can kind of expect this since these are PS exclusives. It's going to happen at some point. I mean, it was in a small print at the start of the game, but I don't think they really pushed it much. I mean, they did say it here and there, but obviously a lot of people don't really read the small print of Monster. They just launch it, get into it, and that's it. But I do think they could have executed it a bit better and actually maybe pushed that message across sooner when the game started to let people know actually that's what they're going to have to do later down the line. So it would have saved people buying a game that they couldn't play. Simple. But why would Arrowhead Studios do that? I mean, they could have lost potentially a lot of sales, so maybe that's why they didn't. They have been quite transparent, though, with us up until this point, getting the community involved, listening to what players want and don't want regarding PvP and many other things. But the reason this is such a big hit is because not everybody wants a PSN account. You should not have to be forced, but then again, where the problem lies mainly is the fact a lot of people cannot access PSN in their country. So it's pretty much a rest in peace for those people. Not all hope is lost though, because the devs of Helldivers 2 encouraged players to leave negative feedback in order to fight back against Sony. I mean, it was funny because there was actually a major order that was asking players to do just that. Leave feedback to show Sony this is not what players want, and voila. It worked. The community came together and sorted out the problem. Before we go any further, I want to know your opinion on this. Do you think Sony and just these corporations in general will learn from this situation? Or will this happen again in the future with another game? Like, for example, PvP. They stuck with the mass majority and said they aren't adding it into the game because it's not what people want. Also, the servers as well at the start of the game, they got onto that pretty quickly considering they are a small studio. Bearing in mind they're competing with AAA developers, so they're a small fish in such a big pond. And I actually think they've done a great job so far, being so small and being able to compete with such big games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, and just AAA developers in general. I mean, they've done a pretty good job, up to this point, pushing content out all the time and listening to people. We can't always get it right, but give them their due. They have done an amazing job so far, literally. Tell me one game that constantly pumps out content, right, as soon as they release for 3 months straight. Tell me, because I ain't seen a game that's done that in ages. So we have to give them some sort of respect, you know. We can't always get it right, but they have got most things right straight early on. So we've got to give them that, you know. Not being able to play a game that I paid for 3 months ago. That is a dick move, it really is. I would literally be screaming, right, the house down, you know, like, Arrowhead Studios, why? Why have you done this to me? Literally, why have you done this to me? I can't play the game. I bought 3 months ago. I can't play it now because you want me to link the account with Sony. That's the community for you, Steam. They get straight onto it no matter what. The positives and negatives, they don't care because that's how the community is on Steam, you know? And it's actually a pretty good thing, really, you know, that people stick together and try and make change together, because the only way change is going to happen is if people come together to try and make that change. Just think, if Helldivers 2 wasn't as good to the community as it has been up until this point, then this may have gone down a rougher road, because it's only down to the players who support the game that actually made a difference. Everyone leaving feedback on Steam, contacting Sony. I mean, it's absolutely amazing when you think about it. It shows how people can really make a difference. And they did, because we won, Sony backed down, hallelujah. Well done, yes, to you watching. You did your part for democracy. Maybe Sony and all of these other companies will think twice before doing this again, because the people always win. Before we continue, I'm just going to take a drink, you know, of my liberty, okay, my liberty. But it's not all Helldivers 2's fault, you know. Sony come along and, you know, they want a chunk of the pie. So it's Sony who we should be really pointing the finger at. Man, 0 upvotes. What the actual fuck, man? No way. Here you go. You can have 1 like from me. I support you, me, this small YouTuber. I mean, it doesn't seem to do anything anyway. They must have like turned off the post or something so you can't interact with it, because yeah, I mean, it must have just had so many like negative dislikes. But do you blame people? Do you really blame them? You know, I don't. Think about it this way. If a ton of people go to Sony and sign up to PSN accounts, they can go to their shareholders and be like, we have a crap ton of people signing up to PSN. That's all. That's all it is, okay? That is all it is. They want that data, okay? They really want that data. At the end of the message, they put Sony Interactive Entertainment. It's like they're trying to tell us they're forcing them into pretty much doing it. You know, like it's not from them, it's from Sony. Sony have got us at gunpoint. You know, they're holding us hostage. We've got to do this, otherwise, yeah, shit hits the fan. Sony have certain demands that they are placing on the developers, so you can kind of expect this. Now, where this issue lies mainly is they waved and said, hey, you don't need a PSN account. Just go and play the game. Go and play Daddy Helldivers 2 for me, for democracy, because that's how it is really. The demand needs to do something, otherwise, you know, you're going to get your game taken away from you. Now, this guy on Steam called Bonestick says, give people small rewards for doing it, like cosmetics or medals. Funny enough, launched the game and boom, new major order. Man, this is really just funny at this point. It's like that COVID thing, you know, with the American government announcing if you go and obviously go and get your COVID vaccine and your shot, you can get a hamburger, man. You know, how amazing is that? Get your shot and you get a free meal at Burger King or McDonald's. And that's pretty much what they're doing now, you know. Go and sign up to PSN and you'll get some medals, you know, good old medals. Funny enough, IGN actually covered this. So it's getting out there pretty much, guys, which is a pretty good thing, really. So thanks, IGN, for doing your part for democracy. Now we are going to go over some comments which were said previous to this whole shenanigans. One guy called Chris, you know, good old Chris. Nope, not doing it. Y'all just lost a customer. I'll reply to the Steam thread too, but that's already been locked. So that's why I couldn't access it. That's why I couldn't like it or comment or anything, because it's been locked, obviously, with all the negative feedback. So I'm not surprised. Then Fine Ass Jack, if I said that right, Fine Ass, I think that's how you say it. I assume you did not read this when you launched the game. Now, I did see this when I first got into the game, when I first actually got the game 3 months ago. They did actually have it in the small print of the game. Another guy said, or should I say person, you know, I don't want to misidentify someone and be cancelled, you know, do I? I mean, I could actually just identify as the director of Sony and sort this whole issue out, because that's how it works, right? You know, not happening. Removing access from Steam players unless they make a PSN account and linking it months after release is absurd. Review changed to negative and I have filed for a refund. IGN went on to say Arrowhead community managers are putting out fires across the Helldivers 2 Discord, which is packed with comments about today's announcement. Like, honestly, damn, I could imagine the Discord blowing up, the amount of people making their voices heard. You know, people are just not happy. They are not happy. Baskinator, if I said that right, Baskinator. Helldivers is Sony's IP, so it makes sense they'd want to use the tools they've developed for these things. Now, this is right to an extent because it would make Sony reconsider. He says, I hope this kills player count. It will be the only thing that will make Sony reconsider. Another person said, just adding, I'll do the same. Commented by Sturfs. I was going to spend money on the new Warbound 2, but guess not anymore. Was fun, but I refuse to tolerate this out of principle. Apparently, according to IGN, 68.2% of players voted saying they will quit if it's not sorted. Bennis said from his Steam review, the automatons have taken over Sony headquarters. Man, that's pretty funny. There's a sense of humor with some of these reviews. It's just honestly just like really funny. But that is pretty much what's happened, isn't it? It is literally like blatantly what's happened. We have gone over everything from why this started in the first place, Sony's involvement, and the end result in general, as well as some people's comments on this whole thing. So if you like the video, be sure to subscribe and I will do more like this. This was a big W for democracy.